Hello, and welcome to Principles of Microeconomics, Economics 101 at Thomas More College for the TAP program. My name is Melanie Fox. I will be your guide through this video, and I am the creator of this course. As a quick background, I have been in higher education since 2002. I've taught economics courses at several different institutions, most recently at Thomas More, where I was most recently an associate professor of economics. I have a PhD in economics from the University of Houston, and I've taught many different subjects within economics. I also have a background in education technology and have worked on a number of different online courses for a variety of different types of institutions. In this video, we're going to introduce you to what this class is all about. Then I'm going to walk you through how to proceed forward in this course, how to walk your way through, and a couple of final tips on how to do well and succeed in this course. First, let's start with what economics means. Most people assume that economics is about business, and to a small extent that's true, but economics is so much more than that. First and foremost, economics is a social science. It is a study of how people behave in societies. In fact, the Greek word economic, the stem of the word economics, economos, means management of the household. So economics is far more than just what people assume it to be, which is really more like a related field called finance. So it's a study of how people deal with the problem of scarcity, and that is our fundamental economic question. How do we deal with the fact that our resources are scarce? How do we answer the three questions: what do we make, how do we make it, and how do we distribute that? So it is also split into two sub-disciplines, microeconomics and macroeconomics. The focus of this course is, of course, the microeconomics, and micro means small, and this is the study of how small agents deal with our fundamental economic problems. So that's firms, households, and individuals. Now, you may have heard me say the word agent there. We use the word people sometimes to refer to all these different groups, but of course firms are not actually people. So we use the word more often agent to describe somebody who is a decision maker. So a firm can be an agent, a household can be an agent, an individual can be an agent. Now, you may be wondering, if this is not solely a course about business, why am I taking this course? Well, as it turns out, microeconomics and macroeconomics are two of the most commonly taken courses in college for entering freshmen. It actually ranks fourth of all of the courses that you could take. Economics are in the top 5 pretty consistently of courses that freshmen take. And the reason that is because it's a very common part of the business curriculum core. And what you learn in economics is basically a set of tools. So we're building your toolkit to not just understand how businesses work, but to better understand how the world works. It also better equips you for future study in both business and economics. For example, if you go on to take courses towards an MBA, you'll take additional courses in economics. And this course is one of the 2 course sequence of economics classes that gives you the solid foundation for going forward. So how is this course organized? Well, each week, the basic thing you should do is go to the module through the course homepage, and then the easiest way to progress through it is to click through. At the very bottom of every page, there will be a next button, and if you just click through that, you will proceed to the very next thing on your checklist. Now, there is one exception to that, and that is any reading that is in your textbook. Since you have a textbook and not a digital textbook, at least not a solely digital textbook, those reading assignments are only on your checklist. So it's a good idea to make note of that checklist every week, just as you have done in previous courses. print that out or have that handy so you can just progress down just like a checklist. You can think of it as a box that you check for each of those items. So I think it's probably a good idea to print it out or bookmark it on your browser page so that you can easily access it. But other than that, the course is very linear. Clicking through that next button will almost always take you to the very next step. There are 6 weeks in this course, and there are 6 corresponding modules in this course as well. And those modules are first, week 1, we start with scarcity and 2 parts of a market, which are supply and demand. Then we move on to addressing markets more fully, and something you're probably not familiar with yet called elasticity. Because elasticity is so important, we spend a little bit of extra time on that in week 3 and also cover a little bit of consumer theory. Then we go on to theory of the firm. How do firms decide how to maximize profit? And that's a little bit complicated, so we spend 2 full weeks on that, focusing on 4 different industry structures that we see in a basic economics class. And then finally, we end up with the consideration, what do we do when markets don't do their job? So a fundamental assumption about economics, or at least a fundamental conclusion that most economists agree on, is that markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. Notice I said usually and not always. There are cases, there are situations where markets don't do what we would expect them to do. So in week 6, we address that issue. Let's talk a little bit about the types of content you will see in this course. Each lesson begins with a lesson page, and you can think of this as kind of a digital platform that's a mix of textbook and videos. Those lesson pages will have videos in them, but it's also woven together with commentary, so it's almost like a textbook that has come alive with videos. After each of those, you'll have some sort of way to engage in that material. Those will take the form of either content engagements or discussion questions. Those content engagements are basically like activities you would do that if you were in a classroom on the ground as part of group work or individual work within class. So some of these will require you to work offline, like on paper. I really highly recommend getting an app such as TinyScan or something similar. There are many, many free apps out there that do the same thing, and they basically turn your phone into a scanner. So you can take a photograph and quickly turn it into a PDF and then use that to upload what you need to do for those content engagements. The discussion questions usually start with a prompt and ask you to talk about that prompt and then respond to your classmates. Make sure you read the discussion question guidelines or discussion forum guidelines to make sure you get the best score you possibly can on those discussion questions. Then the time comes to start trying to apply this material. In most cases, we'll have a little bit of practice of some sort. That might be a practice homework on this site, Applia, or it could be a practice assignment on Khan Academy. In either of those cases, if it says practice, it is not graded. Usually with those, you can try them an unlimited number of times. Then, once you feel comfortable with that, move on to graded homework. These are graded. They don't make up a very large percentage of your grade, but they are a one-off situation. So make sure when you start those that you are ready to do those homeworks. Then finally, at the end of every module, at the end of every week, there is a quiz. And this is basically like a unit test for each of these modules. You'll have a preparatory document that will help you go through everything you need to know for that quiz. And usually you'll be allowed to have a crib sheet so that you have things like formulas handy to take those. One quick note about those quizzes. Once you start them, the timer is going and it doesn't stop. So you do need to set aside some time that is uninterrupted so that you can finish those. If at any time during a quiz you run into a technical difficulty, contact your instructor immediately. At the very end of the course, there is a final exam, which is pretty much the same format as the previous ones, but it's just a little bit longer, and it is a comprehensive final. So let's get a snapshot of how to proceed through this course. So you've probably already seen the home page of this course, and it's very familiar, I'm sure, at this point, like many courses you've taken already. I wanted to draw your attention to this side of the course, though. Anytime you're not sure where to go, you can always go to modules here, and that will take you to the 6 modules, and you can find out where you should be by going to the week that you're in. Once you're within those module pages, or that module page, you'll see a breakdown of each module week by week. So right now, the first thing that should come up is the course information that has this welcome video in it, but also things like your course outcomes, required materials, handy shortcut links in case you ever need it. There is an electronic version of the textbook, but it doesn't embed very well into the LMS. So if you want to use a digital book, feel free, and there's a handy link for you. There are also the discussion question guidelines and an Ask the Instructor forum. Anytime you have general questions that you're not sure where to send them and you don't want to send an email, you can always post them there. The rest of the modules below the course information are the modules by week. So we start out with the fundamental economic question. Each week, just launch on that one and then hit next all the way through. As an example of what these lesson pages look like, here is the very first one you'll see, the Basic Economic Concepts Part 1. As you can see here, there's a set of text that kind of introduces you to what the lesson is about. And then there is a video here that once you click the little start arrow, you should begin the video. So you can just scroll your way through down the page, reading and watching videos as you go along. Now, one quick important note, you should treat these lessons and these videos as if you are in an on-the-ground classroom. That means you really should be engaging with the material in some way while you do it. So that means taking notes while you watch videos and taking notes while you read. I also highly recommend taking notes while you read the textbook. Now, as we go through the course, you're going to see content from a wide variety of people. So who are all of these people? Well, one of them is myself, and you'll see videos from me recorded on this system that we're using right now. But there's so much out there that is really high quality that it seems a shame to try to reinvent the wheel. So I've mixed in a lot of content from pretty well-known economists who are also very involved in education and technology. So one of the most, two of the things that we'll see the most, or two of the instructors we'll see the most throughout the course are Cohen and Tabarrok. So Alex Tabarrok and Tyler Cohen. They are both professors of economics. We also see Sal Khan. Sal Khan is not a professional economist. He is, however, an MBA. He has an MBA from Harvard, so he would be qualified to teach this course. He also has a very deep interest in economics and has had a deep interest in economics for a long time. And his site, Khan Academy, became a source of a lot of information for a lot of people during the 2008 economic crisis. So Sal will be pretty heavily featured throughout the course. We also will see things from two other economists, Jody Beggs and Mary McGlasson. Both of them have a great series of videos on YouTube, and we will pull from their resources from time to time as well. Now, notice that everybody on this screen is qualified to teach economics at the college level, and that is true for almost everybody you see in the course. So yes, there are a lot of resources on the internet that are really great, and there are also a lot of resources that are really mediocre or just bad. And I've really, really worked very hard to make sure everything in this is very high quality and very accurate. The only exception that you will see from time to time is in your final exam or in your exam review or quiz review documents. There is a gentleman named Jacob Clifford who prepares materials for students for high school AP courses. So technically he would not be qualified to teach economics at the college level, but the AP exam is meant to mimic a college level course, and I found his review videos at least are pretty good for the ones that we can get for this course. Now, some final tips. Number one, first and foremost, ask for help. This is not an easy course, and there's nothing wrong in asking questions. The second piece of advice is manage your time. There is a lot of content and a lot to get through in just 6 weeks, so time management becomes key. And finally, make sure you take notes while you are reading or while you are watching videos. Okay, that's it. Onward, and I will see you in the course.